Code Ninja Security Advisory. Listen up. We're issuing an urgent intelligence briefing on a critical, actively exploited zero-day vulnerability. Your immediate attention is required.
All right, what we're talking about here is CVE 2026-24858. It's a critical authentication bypass vulnerability in Fortinet products, and we've got confirmation that it is being actively exploited in the wild.
So let's break this down. What we're looking at is a nasty authentication bypass that lets an attacker get administrative access to your devices. The key thing to know is that if you use Fortinet products and you have FortiCloud Single Sign-On, that's SSO, enabled, you are at risk. And just to give you an idea of how serious this is, we're looking at a CVSS score of 9.8. I mean, that is critical. It doesn't get much higher than that. Basically, it means some random attacker on the internet with no special access can get complete control of your device. Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we need to do a quick comms check. This is standard procedure for us. You've got to understand, threats move way faster than patches. So subscribe and hit that alerts button right now. You need to get these briefings the second they drop.
All right, next up, go ahead and like this advisory. Think of it as your digital handshake, acknowledging you've received this critical intel.
And last thing, sound off in the comments. Let us know, are you patched or are you still running a vulnerable version? We really need to get a feel for the blast radius out there. Okay, comms check complete.
All right, with that out of the way, let's get into the deep dive. First section, the blast radius. Let's figure out exactly who's in the line of fire.
So what's really wild about this vulnerability is how it works. It's what we call an alternate path authentication bypass. Now, in plain English, that means an attacker can use their own, completely separate FortiCloud account to get admin access to your devices. It's like having a master key that works on every single customer's door. The whole trust boundary between accounts, yeah, it's just completely shattered.
So it's time to check your asset inventory right now. We're talking FortiOS, FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiProxy, all versions from 7.0 up to 7.6. And, keep an eye on FortiWeb and FortiSwitch Manager. They're still being looked at. Bottom line, if you're running any of those versions, you are exposed.
And here's what makes this so incredibly dangerous. Your attack surface is probably way bigger than you think. Why? Because this FortiCloud SSO feature can actually be turned on by default when you first register a device. It's just a little toggle switch an admin might not even see. So you could be vulnerable and not even know you were using the feature in the first place.
Okay, moving on. Section 2. Active exploitation. And I need to be crystal clear here. This is not a what if. This isn't theoretical. We have solid threat intel confirming that attackers are using this in the wild right now. From what we've seen, the attack chain is pretty straightforward, and it follows a clear three-step playbook. First, the attacker gets in using that SSO bypass. No surprise there. Second, the very next thing they do is grab your device configuration files. Think about that. That's your credentials, your network maps, pretty much the keys to the kingdom. And third, to make sure they can stick around, they create a new local admin account. That's their backdoor, ensuring they can get back in even after you've patched the initial hole.
So that brings us to the big question. What are you hunting for? Here are your indicators of compromise. Get your security team on this immediately. You're going to want to scan your logs for any logins from malicious accounts like cloudnoke@mail.io. Check your network traffic for these specific IPs we've observed. But honestly, the most important thing? Audit your local admin accounts. Look for any new users with really generic names like audit, backup, or secadmin. These are dead giveaways.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important part of this entire briefing. Section 3, the protocol. This is your game plan, your defense strategy. Pay close attention. First, just to give you some context on the vendor's response, and this really shows you how serious this was. On January 22nd, Fortinet locked out the known malicious accounts. But that wasn't enough. By the 26th, they had to take the drastic step of hitting a global kill switch. They literally disabled the FortiCloud SSO service for everybody just to stop the bleeding. A day later, they brought it back online, but with a major restriction. It now blocks any login attempts from devices running these vulnerable versions.
So here it is, your urgent 4-step remediation protocol. Number 1, inventory. Map out all your Fortinet devices and find every single one that has FortiCloud SSO enabled. 2, patch immediately. You have to upgrade to a fixed version to even get SSO working again, so there's literally no reason to wait.
3, hunt. Actively search for those IOCs we just went over. And 4, rotate. If you find any sign of a compromise, you have to assume the worst. Rotate all your credentials, VPN, LDAP, local admins, the whole shebang.
Now, look, I get it. Sometimes you're in a situation where you just can't patch right this second. If that's you, there is an immediate workaround. You can go in and disable FortiCloud SSO login directly on the device, either through the GUI or the CLI. But listen to me, this is a temporary stopgap. It's a band-aid. Patching is the only real fix here.
Finally, I just want to say a quick word on our code and, why we do this.
We believe in practice what's called coordinated vulnerability disclosure. Yes, the vendor has been notified and they've taken action, and that's great. But you, the user, the person on the front lines defending your network, you need this intelligence right now to protect your perimeter. That's our mission, to get the community the intel it needs to stay secure.
So you're going to patch this. We know you will. But this whole incident leaves us with a much bigger question. Your perimeter is patched for today. But what's your strategy for the next 0 day? That's the question you need to be asking your team tomorrow morning. Stay vigilant and stay secure.